Welcome back to Gamer in the Wardrobe, where I literally play games, video games, and TCGs in the comfort of my closet. Today, we are going over Set 4 Spoilers Genesis Returns Alpha Clash, what we know so far. First card we got up here is the Contender Moxie, Vanguard of Earth, 25 health contender, and she's a 1 attack, 0 defense Alpha Hunter contender from Earth. Ultimately, when an Alpha Hunter you control dies, it creates a badge weapon token, and for 1 red resource, you can attach it to your unit and give them +1 defense. At less than 15 health, Alpha Hunters with 2 or more weapons attached get Fortitude, meaning their attack and defense cannot be reduced by effects your opponent's control, and Alpha Hunters with the badge attached get +1 attack on top of the +1 defense that badge is already doing. I think this is going to be a really cool card for the set because right now Alpha Hunters are only in the black color resource. So this is going to enable it to be a black-red resource contender, and I'm excited to see what we have for red Alpha Hunters coming out in this set. Let's go to the next one. Kagan the Eternal Dragon, 30 health contender. The first time you play or attach a contender weapon during your turn, you may draw 1 card. This card may attach up to 4 contender weapons with different names. We'll go over some of those weapons here in a second. And then at 15 health, once per turn during your primary phase, you may engage this card. If you do, choose target contender weapon in your Oblivion, and until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its resource cost. It's a 1 attack, 0 defense contender, and Kagan is from Earth, and he's an alpha contender. Pretty excited to see some of the combos. This is going to be one of those contenders that ultimately is like Ultron or Go-Go Power Rangers, where he's assembling his shield and his mace and his helm and his armor to become basically the attacker and defender of himself without having a lot of units on board. So excited to see where this one takes us. The cover boy of Set 4, Genesis, in Genesis Return, Set 4, is a 30 health blue contender, 1 attack, 0 defense, from Zenith Prime, and he is a Harbinger. Really cool to see Harbingers in blue, because right now Harbingers, I believe, are only white, red, and black. So cool to see some blue get some Harbinger buffs, and he has once per turn. You may play 1 ready card from your resource zone as if it was in your hand, and if you do, put a card from your hand into your resource zone. Whenever a Genesis card is played this way from your resource zone, you may activate the portal. And then at 15 or less health, non-clash buff cards you play from your resource zone cost 2 less blue resources to play. I think he's going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see what else the set comes out to support. So far, we don't have a lot of Genesis cards, but we do have some pretty epic ones. Next is a 2-parter. This is a 2-part contender. You have Shadowlight, 25 health contender at a 1 attack, 0 defense, Earth, and then also he flips to a 0 attack, 1 defense. And the unique thing is this is a white and a black contender. So I'm assuming you could play a white or a black clash buff, which could be interesting. And then if you're in the Dark Absence black contender, at the start of your turn, you lose 1 health. And then you may pay 1 white resource to flip this card. When you flip to this side, so if you're on the white side and you flip to the black side, if a clash card was returned to your hand from the clash zone this turn, draw 1 card, and all Shadowlight cards get +1 defense and Torment. Once per turn during your primary phase, if you're below 15 health, you may engage this card. If you do, you can flip it, and you would be flipping it to the white contender, Shadowlight, Bright Beacon. You start the game on this side, and at 25 health, you can pay 1 black to flip to the black side. But if you flip to this side, switch target cards' attack and defense power until the end of turn, and all Shadowlight Clash cards you control get this Clash card can't be the target of an attack unless the attacking player pays 1 resource of any color. So, could be really interesting, right? I'm thinking Buffalo, I'm thinking Warcry cards, and there's a lot of Shadowlight cards we haven't seen yet because this is what we know so far. Under 15 health, you may engage this card to flip it. So, could be really unique. Right now, all the contenders we're seeing all have relatively unique abilities. Playing from the resource zone, equipping more than 1 contender weapon, creating tokens for black and red to now have Alpha Hunters. And then, lastly, at least for the contenders that are not in the starter packs, Kilimanjaro, which is a discard contender. 25 health from Earth. At 25 health, trigger attack. So when this contender attacks, you may draw one card, then discard one card. If you discard a clash card this way, this contender gets +1/+0 until the end of the clash. So ultimately, if you're discarding a clash card, maybe something you can bring back with an effect from another card, this is a 2-0 contender. There's also a lot of synergies with his clash buffs and cards we know so far, which I'll talk about in a second. But the magnitude is another thing that we don't have yet. Magnitude is X, where X is equal to the number of cards in your Oblivion. So if you have 10 cards in your Oblivion, your magnitude is 10. And it says, at the start of your turn, if magnitude is 10, you gain 1 health. If it's 15, you gain 1 health and you draw a card. And if you have 20 or more cards in your Oblivion, all black alpha clash cards you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn. You draw 1 card and you gain 1 health. Really excited to play this contender. Which brings us to our first card that is not a contender. Under Pressure, a 1-cost black resource clash buff. For those of you not familiar with Alpha Clash, thanks for tuning in. But this is a card you use when you're actually in combat, right? You can only have 4 clash buffs in your deck, and the color has to be related to the contender color. So for instance, Kilimanjaro's color is black, and this is a black resource clash buff. It says it right here. Contender card if your contender is a black contender. This says, during a clash, if you're doing the clash buff, you may discard 1 card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Target contender or clash card you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And then again, if magnitude is 15, meaning you have 15 cards in your Oblivion or more, this target gets +2/+2 until the end of turn instead of the +1/+1. Really excited to use this card. I think it's going to mess up a lot of people. Could potentially make Death a little bit more relevant. Could be played, as I'm assuming, could be played in Shadowlight, right? If you're on the black side, right, you could play it, and now it's a potentially a 2/3 or a 1/2, right? Which brings us to our first clash card, which is Shadowlight Umbral Agent. It's a 1-cost black card. During your primary phase, you may pay 1 black resource. If you do, return this card from your clash zone to your hand. If the portal is open, this card can't be returned to your hand from the clash zone. It's a 1/1, 1 attack, 1 defense from Earth Alpha Clash card. And now we have our first Clash Ground, Molten Crag. 2-cost resource Clash Ground on Earth, and trigger Enter. So when this enters the battlefield, discard 1 card. Then put up to 1 target clash card with an initial resource cost of 3 or less from your Oblivion into your hand. Whenever a player discards 1 or more cards, if there are 10 or more cards in their Oblivion, they draw 1 card. Pretty cool. Alright, this is our first epic. Shadowlight, Darkness Overwhelming. 5-drop, 2 black pip, exclusive clash card from Earth. It's an alpha, and it's a 2/3, 2 attack, 3 defense. Trigger Enter. Until end of turn, clash cards your opponent control can't have their attack or defense powers increased by card effects. Each other clash card's initial attack and defense becomes 2/2, and this card gets +1/+0 for each clash card your opponent controls with attack or defense power lower than their initial attack or defense power. Pretty cool. Ultimately, it turns all of their cards into 2/2s, and if they had initial attack or defense power greater than 2, this card, Shadowlight Darkness Overwhelmed, gets +1 attack for each. So like if you had, let's say, a 2/3, a 3/2, and a 6/5 on board, this would turn all of them into 2/2s and get +3 attack. So pretty cool. Kilimanjaro Molten Rift Shaper. It's a 6-drop, 3 black pip clash card from Earth Alpha. 5 attack, 6 defense. Whenever you discard one or more, whenever you discard 1 or more clash cards, your contender gains 1 life. Action cards, target contender loses 1 health. Accessory cards, target clash card gets -1/-1 until the end of turn. And then clash ground cards, target clash card gets +1/+1. A lot of versatility here. Very unique card. I'm curious to see how this one's going to be done, and I love the art. I cannot wait to see this one in a foil. He's holding this red gem. He's got all this flame going around him. Should be pretty cool. This is a contender weapon. So this is one you would attach to your contender's Shadow Lash. It's a 2-cost black, 2 black pip, and 1 to attach. So 3 total if you wanted to play it on a turn. Play it out and then attach it. Attached contender gets counter attack. Engage this contender. Target attacking Clash card loses all card effects and abilities until the end of turn. It can only be attached to Shadowlight Contender. Pretty cool. Another contender weapon, the Grenade Launcher, a 3-cost weapon, a 1 to attach. If this is attached to a contender during your primary phase, you may pay 1 black or 1 red resource to attach it. If you do, attach a weapon you control with Grenade in its name to a Clash card you don't control without paying that weapon's attached cost. If your contender is an Alpha Hunter, weapons you control with Grenade in their name cost 1 blue or 1 black and 1 red less to play. Interesting. So if this is attached to your contender, you could basically play grenades from your hands for no costs. And I believe control with Grenade in its name, you could attach it for paying that weapon's attachment. You could attach it for no cost. So you attach this to your contender, you play a grenade from your hand for free, you attach it to a card for free, and then you throw it, right? So really unique card. I'm curious to see if it's going to work. This is our first discarded card. It's a 3-cost, 1 black, discarded, 2 attack, 1 defense, ambush card, meaning you play it face down in your accessory zone or from your hand. Counter attack. If the portal is open, you may pay 1 black resource instead of 3 if it's in the ambush phase. If you do, put this card from play or into play from your accessory zone, and then when it enters the field, if the portal's open, this card gets +1 defense until the end of turn. So pretty cool. Could be unique. So this is that Clash buff we saw earlier, but this is the iconic art. So this is the unique art, one of the unique arts for the set. It is the iconic art of the Clash buff for Kilimanjaro. Pretty sweet. I Am Demise, a 3-cost, 2 black pip, basic action. If you control Death Contender, this costs 1 less black, so technically it only costs 2 resources if you're playing the Death Contender. Send target Clash card you control to Oblivion. If you do, send target Clash card you don't control to Oblivion. Could be pretty cool. I could send a 1-drop to Oblivion and get rid of their 6-drop, right? If the portal is open, you may put a Clash card without Unrivaled from your Oblivion into your Clash zone engaged. If you do, your contender loses health equal to that card's initial resource cost. So I'm just imagining this here, right? Let's say I have the ability to discard a card from my hand. I discard my 6-drop Death Endbringer into my Oblivion. I have a 1-drop out on turn 2. I play this from my hand. I kill whatever I have on the board, killing whatever they have on the board. And if the portal's open, I can bring my 6-drop Death from my Oblivion onto the field, and I would take 6 damage. Seems like a fair trade to me, especially the way Death can get health back. So I'm excited for that one. Ballistic Shield. 2 cost, 2 black pip, 1 black to attach. Attach Clash card gets Safeguard. Pretty straightforward. Dragonheart. This is a green Clash buff, so this can only be played on green alpha contenders. That would be Kagan and Magnate, right? At least so far. Target contender gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you may reveal a non-Clash card from among them and put it into your hand. Then put the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. Pretty sweet. Krung's Dominion. 2 cost, 1 black pip. On Bardega, it's a Clash ground. Trigger enter, search your deck for a discarded Clash card and put it into your Oblivion, then shuffle your deck. The way that discarded works is they work a lot in their Oblivion, so you can basically put a card in there and use the ability that it has from the Oblivion, or draw it some way and get it onto the field, the way that Krung does Krung things. This also says Bardega Clash cards get -1 attack, +1 health. Or defense, and if the portal is open, discarded Clash cards cannot lose abilities. Could be interesting. There's a lot going on with that one. Alright, Kagan Smashing Through. 4-drop, 2 green pip. If you control 2 or more contender weapons, this card gets Breakthrough. If you control 2 or more attached contender weapons, other Kagan cards get Breakthrough. It's a 4/4, 4 attack, 4 defense, alpha green earth card. A 4/4 with breakthrough for 4, and it potentially gives other cards on my field breakthrough. We'll see. We'll see. That sounds pretty cool. This one's pretty cool. For all my guys out in the Philippines, give me a like here, because this is the first Philippines card in the set somewhere in Manila. A 1-drop Clash Ground, and that is your boy Coggin surfing on his shield in the Philippines. Shout out to you guys. Hopefully you guys can make it over here for some of the awakenings and some of the events we got going on, and I'd love to meet some of you. And this is, it says, when a contender weapon you control is sent to Oblivion, you may send this card to Oblivion instead. If you do, put that contender weapon on top of your deck. Philippines Earth. Coggin Ferocious Scourge. A 3-drop, 1 green pip. Trigger attack. Not enter. Trigger attack. Until end of turn, the attached cost of green contender weapons you control are reduced by 1 green pip. This is a 2 attack, 2 defense Earth card alpha. Again, just a way to create. You make your contender a little bit stronger, a little bit beefier, and hit a little bit harder. For a card like this, Fire Mace, you play it out for 1 green, it's 2 green to attach, and the contender gets trigger attack. This card gets +1 until the end of turn. The attached contender gets trigger victory, so if it kills something and lives, all Clash cards you control get +1/+0 until the end of turn. This weapon can only be attached to Coggin contenders. So you can see if I kill something and I get victory, I can give +1 attack to all of my cards, which would, work really, really well with this breakthrough card, right? +1 attack, swinging. If you block, I still get breakthrough. So seeing some synergies there. All right, we're going to go into the starter deck Pestilence. This is the one that are going to be in the Clash kits. It's a 25 health contender from Plague Home. 1 attack, 0 defense Harbinger. And this guy works with the toxic counters. Once per turn during your primary phase, you may move any number of toxic counters from a permanent you control to a target Clash card. Whenever you move 2 or more to an opponent Clash card, that player discards a card. Pretty strong. And that 15 health non-Pestilence Clash cards you don't control with 1 or more toxic counters lose all abilities. Pretty cool. Also in the starter deck, Clash Kit, Pestilence, Affliction Giver, 3-drop, 2 green pip, 3/3. Plague Home, Clash card, Harbinger. Trigger Defeat, so when this card dies or is defeated, Clash cards you don't control with toxic counters on them get -1/-1 until the end of turn. Pretty cool. Pestilence, the virulent. Someone needs to teach me how to say that word. It's a 1-drop, 1 green pip. When it enters, you put one toxic counter on a Clash card, and when it's defeated, you put 1 toxic counter on a Clash card. So this is just really synergizing with the contender pretty well, putting counters on stuff you control or don't control, and it's really cheap, and it's an easy blocker. Really excited for this one. Pandemic, Warden Pestilence, 4-drop, 2 green pip, 2 attack, 4 defense, Plague Home, Harbinger card. Whenever this card deals Clash damage to a contender, that contender's controller discards 1 card. That's nuts, but there's more. If a Clash card is discarded this way, non-Harbinger Clash cards get -2/-2 until the end of turn. This card's going to be nuts. Mark my words. People are going to hate this card. Sorry. This card. People are going to hate this card. I promise you. Or this card. I don't know what side it's on, but you get my point. And then we got the beefy boy, Pestilence, Harbinger of Desolation. I think there's going to be a theme with the Harbingers riding horses. We currently have 2 revealed, but this is a 5 cost, 2 green resource Clash card from Plague Home. 3 attack, 4 body, Harbinger. It is exclusive, so you can only have 1 in the Clash zone at a time. And when it enters the field, you may put 1 toxic counter on this card. Then for each permanent you control with the toxic counter, you may put 1 toxic counter on that permanent. So you're just basically adding more toxic counters to all of your cards that have toxic counters on them. On top of that, Pestilence Clash cards you control with 1 or more toxic counters get Trigger Defeat. You may move any number of toxic counters from this card to target permanent. So this enters, I put a toxic counter on a Pestilence card, I swing, it dies, I can now move those toxic counters to any card that I want, right? From this card to target permanent. So it could move to their card, making them discard from the Pestilence leader, or it could move to this card, for instance, because During your primary phase, you may remove 5 toxic counters from this card. If you do, target clash card gets -5/-5 and loses all card effects and abilities until the end of turn. Gonna be a problem. I'm excited. And if I'm going pretty fast, feel free to pause if you guys need to read through it, but I'm trying to get through it as quickly as I can to get us all caught up on what we've seen so far from set 4. War Contender, 25 health from Bardaga. 1 attack, 0 defense, Harbinger. Red Contender. The Fierce Javelineer. And at 25, trigger attack. If this contender has a weapon attached with Javelin in its name, create 1/1 red Harbinger War token. And then once per turn, whenever you unattach a weapon from this contender, you may draw 1 card. At 10 health, at the start of your turn, if this contender has a weapon attached with Javelin in its name, War minion clash card tokens you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. Sounds pretty fun. Which brings us to the next starter card, which is a contender weapon, Fire Javelin. 2 cost, 1 red, 2 red to attach. Wow, that's hard to say. Attached contender gets +1/+1. So it turns the War Contender into a 2/1. And then while this weapon is attached to your contender, War minion clash tokens you control get trigger defeat, deal 1 damage to target clash card. At the end of your turn, unattach this weapon, which then in theory would allow you to draw a card because of the ability that War has. When you unattach a weapon, you may draw a card. This is the one I'm most excited about. Gravity Javelin is a 1 cost, 1 red, 2 to attach red contender weapon. Attached contenders get trigger attack. You may unattach this weapon and draw a card because of your contender ability. If you do, choose 2 target clash cards you don't control. They cannot obstruct during this clash and must obstruct the next attack you declare this turn if able. This card is going to be nuts, and I am all about it. Next one is going to be the Harbinger War card, where he's riding the Fire Horse. 5 drop, 2 red pip, and it has Breakthrough, which means whatever damage I deal, if I kill something, the additional damage hits the contender. When this enters the field, you may send 1 War minion clash token to Oblivion. If you do, search your deck basically for a contender weapon, one of the javelins, and then shuffle and put that card on top. Trigger attack, this card gets +1/+0 for each War minion clash token that was defeated or sent to Oblivion this turn. So I could see this really synergizing well with the Fire Javelin now that I'm thinking about it, because I could just have all of my minion tokens swing and die and deal 1 damage to clash cards. Like, let's say I have 5 on the board, and I swing with all of them, and all of them die, and I dealt 5 damage to whatever, right? And then I play this and swing. Well, this would effectively be an 8/3 with Breakthrough. Pretty cool. War, Turmoil Tyrant, a 3 cost, 2 red pip, Bardaga, Harbinger clash card. 3 attack, 3 defense. Observant means it doesn't have haste. All cards have haste in this game unless they have the Observant name, which means it enters and it does have Summoning Sickness. Observant basically means this card has Summoning Sickness. And it has trigger enter, clash tokens you control get +1 defense. All right, so now we're out of the starter cards and back into the set 4 cards. Tattering Shackleblade is a Pestilence contender weapon. 2 to play, 2 to attach, green. Attached contender can't be the target of clash buffs. Attached contender gets trigger attack, draw 1 card. Then you may discard any number of cards trigger attack, draw 1 card, then you may discard any number of cards. So you could attack and draw a card and discard no cards. Just so everyone's on the same page. But you may discard any number of cards. This card gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each card you discarded this way. So you can ultimately discard cards to make your contender stronger if you're trying to do damage, or if you just swing with this attached, you get to draw a card, right? Pretty cool. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm a green fan, so this one, it seems like there could be a lot of synergies here. Sonoro Rhythmic Dynamo is a 5 cost, 2 green pip. I love that it's 2 green pip. It makes it way more accessible. 5 attack, 4 defense, Earth clash card that's an alpha. Trigger enter. You may engage any number of clash cards you control. The next clash card you play this turn costs a green pip less for each card engaged this way. So hypothetically, Koggen is a 6-drop, but he costs 4 green pips to play. So you could play this card out with 3 cards on your board, engage all 4 of them, and play Koggen out for 2. So could be a really, really interesting card. Okay, Coverboy. This one is awesome. This is the exclusive Team Covenant promo card, Genesis the Adaptable. And this is also pretty unique because it's a multicolor card, which is, we've only had one in the entire game up to this point, which was the Clarity, which was a black-white. So this is a blue-red, which I'm excited about because there's a lot of Harbingers in red and a lot of buffs in red. Warzone, all of the Harbinger buffs from a lot of the other things that you can have access to. And this says Bound. Only one copy of this uniquely named card can be in your resource zone. So you can play 4 in your deck, but you can only resource 1 of them. I really like the idea of this type of card because it just opens up so many more opportunities to, create a paradise for deck builders, right? It's a 5 attack, 5 defense from Zenith Prime, Harbinger card. And then here is the actual cover art. This is the Alpha Rare 5-drop Genesis the Inevitable 3 blue pip, 6 attack, 5 defense, Harbinger Clash card from Zenith Prime. Undisputed, unrivaled. You can only have 1 of these in your deck. Undisputed means if it attacks, it cannot die when attacking. It can die if you attack it, but when it's attacking, it does not die. Trigger defeat. Put this card into your resource zone engaged. That's pretty dope. And then on top of that, this card has each ability among all clash cards in play. So if your opponent has a flyer, a breakthrough unit, a necrotic unit, and you have, let's say, I'm trying to think of other ones, but you kind of get what I'm saying, is this adopts all of that and is those things on top of Undisputed, which is pretty cool. And then if it does die, you just put it into your resource zone engaged. And if you're playing this in the Genesis Contender, you can just play it right out of your resource zone again. Or if you're under 15 health, you can play it for 2 less out of your resource zone again. So, card could be pretty nuts. All right, now we're back to Ultron. This is the Koggen Dragon Scale Armor Contender Weapon. 3 to play, 2 to attach. Attached contender loses health during if the attached contender loses health during any opponent's turn, attached contender and clash card you control get +0/+1 until the end of turn. So ultimately, if you lose health during your opponent's turn, you buff yourself and a clash card. That's all right. Flame Shield, 2 to play, 1 to attach. Counterattack. So the opponent swings at me, I say counterattack. You may only activate this effect when an opponent attacks a clash card you control. So it has to attack a clash card, not my contender. You may send this attached contender weapon to Oblivion. If you do, send target attacking clash card to Oblivion. Seems really strong. Seems really strong. If you're playing Koggen, you're going to have some accessory removal because some of those weapons are pretty nuts. All right, I'm a fan of this art. This art is very cool. Shout out to Mayank Kumar because this art is awesome. I'm excited to see this in a foil, as well as we have the I Am Decay, we have the I Am Demise, which is, I think there's a theme here, right? So we have the I Am Decay, we have the I Am Demise art, and then we have the 2 Horsemen, which we talked about, right? Here's one of them. So I'm hoping that we're going to get like a Conquest and a War I Am blank, like maybe I Am Victory for Conquest and I Am War for War, or I Am whatever for War. But this says it's a 3 cost, 2 green pip, basic action. If you control a Pestilence contender, this card costs 1 less green to play. Discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. That's already awesome. For 3, that could be expensive, so let's see what the next thing says. If the portal is open, Distribute X toxic counters among any number of target clash cards you don't control, where X is equal to the number of cards you discarded this turn. Until end of turn, Harbinger clash cards you control get +0/+1 for each toxic counter distributed this way. Any number of target clash cards you don't control, where X is equal to the number. So ultimately, like, if you have let's say you have 3 toxic counters on one card and he played 2 last turn, you could move 2 of those to 1/1. So now all of them have a toxic counter, which, again, if your contender's below 15 health, they lose their abilities. So could be interesting. Could be interesting. Situational, but interesting. This card is one of my favorite arts. Shout out to art by Wade King. If you're not following Wade King, go follow him, because this is sick. Kind of gives me the Attack on Titan, creepy, like big mouth teeth vibes. Great work. 5-drop, 2 green pip, Pestilence, Putrid Contagion. This is an exclusive 3 attack, 5 defense, Plague Home, Harbinger clash card. Trigger enter. Each opponent discards 1 card. Already nuts. A 3/5 where the opponent discards a card? Heck yeah. If a non-clash card was discarded this way, that player contender loses 3 health. So now it's basically saying, if you discard a clash card, you're good. If it's a non-clash card, you also take 3 health damage. And then on top of that, at the start of your turn, if the portal is open, you may resolve this trigger enter effect as though it just entered play. Nuts. That's nuts. This card's gonna be crazy. I'm excited for this card. It's gonna piss a lot of people off, but it's gonna be crazy and a lot of fun. Plaguebearer's Embrace, 3-drop, 2 green pip, trap accessory. Counterplay, you may activate this trap if a clash card is being played. That card is sent to Oblivion instead of entering play. The controller of that card may discard 2 cards to negate this effect. So ultimately, it's Swarm of Monsters, but in green, and the opponent has the opportunity to discard 2 cards to negate the effect going off. So it's either discard 2 cards if you can, or your card doesn't enter play, it just goes straight to Oblivion. Nuts. Dragonheart. So this is the iconic rare art of that Dragonheart clash buff we went over earlier, which I will go back to really quickly right here. Nope, not that one. This one. So this is the clash buff original art by Wade King. Awesome job. So this is the same card, but the iconic rare art of that card. Super cool. Super cool. Please sign me up. Please give me one. Ridge or Garrett, if you guys are watching, send me more. Just kidding. You don't have to do that. I'm doing it. Okay, anyway. Last card to get us all caught up to what's been going on so far in Act 4 is the main stage. What a great way to end this episode on is the main stage. 4-drop, 2 green pip, clash round in New York Earth. Trigger enter. Ready all clash cards you control. Those clash cards can't attack this turn. So let's say you have 6 cards, you swing with all 6 of them, you play this card, you ready all of them back up, and now they can defend. Earth clash cards get trigger, defeat, exhaust, target engaged clash card. So on top of this, right, let's say you have 3 on the board, you swing with a 3, and you play this card, and the 3 stand up, and your opponent swings at your contender and you obstruct, and that one you obstruct with is from Earth, you can basically die and then exhaust the card that swung and killed it and make sure that does not ready when the opponent's turn starts again. So this card could also be pretty nuts. It is expensive. It costs 4 to play, but if you're playing an Earth deck, I mean, this could be pretty strong. So that's where we're at so far. Act 4, Genesis returns. If you guys like what you guys are seeing and you guys want to support, don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. What card are you most excited about? What contender or sets of cards do you want to see more of? Do you want to see more Kilimanjaro? Do you want to see more Genesis? Do you want to see more of Ultron Kagen? Or I want to see more of the Moxie Alpha Hunters, because we haven't even seen a Red Alpha Hunter yet, right? So hit me up. I love to interact with the community. I'm on here all the time playing online as well as in person. I love building decks, and I can do some deck lists as well. But I wanted to get everybody caught up to Act 4 to this point. And if you like the thumbnail, let me know. I'm new to this, and I'm trying to get better. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Have a good night.